if you can control God and what he does, the universe will be totally different. There's only one God, and he knows. He has control over everything. Welcome back to the Junior Mints Podcast, everyone. This podcast is here to help you guys navigate life while also helping you guys see the fun sides of life as well. My name is Finn Lawler. I'm your host. Let's jump right in. Today's episode, I think, will be all about a topic that we can all relate to on some level. We're going to be discussing and trying to navigate the concepts of things we can control and things we cannot control. So let's kind of dive in. So it starts with we want so in life we want to control everything. We want to control most likely we want to control all the outcomes. We want to control some people if you're that manipulative, but when I say control, I'm just saying like you're basically playing God. And when you try to play God, things don't go well, which there's only one God. There's only one God. But I digress. Um, Certain outcomes are inevitable, right? It's going to be dark here when I say this, but death is inevitable, right? We're all going to die at some point. We can't control even stuff like how we die or when we die or stuff like that. Sorry, that was a really dark turn, but it's true though. Like, it's one of those things where we can't control when death comes knocking at our door. We can't control even something as simple as like the behaviors of other people. You know, um, we can't control. Like, it's one of those things where we can kind of lead the camel to the water, but we can't make them drink. You know, another example of things we can't control, and this is a personal one for me, is when I'm like flying somewhere and I'm on a flight, and it's like if I have a connection that I gotta make, I can't control um like how early or how late the plane gets there. If the plane gets there late and I miss my connection flight, that's on the airline. That's not on me. My point is I can't control how fast the plane goes. So it's a matter of acceptance. It's like, you know what? If I miss my flight, for example, no big deal. I'll just find something to do. So those are things. So one of the things you can control in that situation is like your attitude and your mindset. Sure, you could change your mindset from, oh no, I'm going to miss my flight, blah, 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 to, you know what? Yes, I missed my flight. However, let's see what we can do in this city that we're stuck in, let's say. You can, so the thing in this situation that you can control is your attitude and your mindset. The thing that you can't control in that situation is when the plane lands or when it takes off. So that's kind of one that I've been kind of improving upon and trying to make it through. Like, I've gotten better at being like, oh no, like, I'm sorry, excuse me. I've gotten better at going from, oh no, like, I'm gonna miss my flight, blah blah blah, the end of the world, blah blah blah, to, okay, cool. So it all starts with that like burning feeling. It's like, okay, I'm gonna miss my flight, or what if I do? I'm like, no, 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 no. It says it in, well, a bunch of places, but in one place it says, Philippians 4:6. It says, don't worry about anything, don't be anxious, for give those to God. It also said somewhere, I forget which verse it is, or I forget which book it is, but it says that tomorrow has its own troubles, and I'm paraphrasing obviously, but so you can control. At that point, in terms of control, you just kind of give it to God. Be like, hey, Father, I just kind of give this control to you, and it's in your hands now, and we get there when we get there, basically. So that's one of the things you can control is your mindset and your prayer. And then things you can't control could also include external forces such as other people. You can't control people who try to control other people are super manipulative. I'm like, dude, what's going on? And I mean that in the most loving way. It's like you can't control other people. Like you can't control what people do or how they act or what they say. You know, you can control your attitude and change your and like control yourself and like and all that. But trying to control other people is it's demonic pretty much. But it also, it's just, there are things in life, obviously. I'm going to go back to the most broad example, but you can't control what people say about you, right? It's like, if you're going to say that about me, then it's like, okay, you kind of have to just like shrug it off, you know? You can't be like, oh no, so and so says this. I'm like, no, 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 hang on. And like, at that point, you can kind of be like, you know what? They have an issue. I'm not, excuse me, I'm not the issue. They are. So it's just out of control sometimes. And like, that kind of brings me to my next point is, if you're, let's say you're feeling, I mean, it is winter time by the time I'm recording this, but let's say you have what they call seasonal affective disorder, which a lot of us do. I definitely do. Um, and if you're feeling sad or something, and you kind of don't really know what's going on, you can kind of take control in a way and adjust the habits to where you can adjust, like, you know, how much sunlight you get, or how much time you spend in front of screens. And if, you know, after you make that adjustment and you feel happier, then it's like, hey, we're cool, you know. There was one time, I was working at one of my jobs, and I was taking a break, right? It was maybe in late December, or no, early December. And I was on my walk, and on my breaks from work, I always walk around like the building and stuff. But I was on my walk, and I was like, I'm feeling really sad for some reason, you know? And it's like, is there anything I can do to make myself less miserable? Or is there something I can do that's going to make, or is there something that I'm going to do that's going to make me more miserable? So, in that regard, you can take control of what you eat, if you exercise, or who you talk to, or how much screen time you spend. So those are kind of four things that you can control. Things you can't control, though, the weather, obviously, winter. You can't control, like, oh, I want it to be summer all year round. No, you can control how you add excuse me, how you how you react to the winter time. You can either be like, oh no, I'm so sad, or you can be like, you know what, winter time is here, but like, it's the holidays, for example, and Christmas is here. So kind of figure out, in that regard, is it just the weather that's making you miserable, or is it like what you're doing in your life that's making you miserable? Or maybe it's none of the above. Maybe it's like, maybe maybe you're going through some stuff or something, and like, you're doing your best. It's like, and you're still feeling sad, but sometimes you just have to ride that sadness out. It sounds really weird when I say it. You just gotta like, you just gotta endure the storm. You know, sometimes it gets really sad sometimes, but anyway, my point is, after all of that, you can control your attitude and what you do. You can't control the weather and what other people do. So here's kind of a big one, actually. In terms of like things you can and cannot control. So as a follower of God, if you are one, um, there's prayer involved, right? And you pray to God. You're like, Father, let's say I want this promotion, or let's say I want to have a safe flight or something to this destination, right? And it's one of those things where you give it to God, and He just kind of goes, okay, well, maybe it'll be this, or maybe it'll be that. It's like, you can't control the outcomes that God gives you, you know? That's kind of where the concept of like, it could work out, it might not work out the way you want it to, but it'll work out for the way that is intended for you, you know? God has intentions for all of us, you know? And sure, we could pray as much as we want, but God already has our plan in mind. Think about it. It sounds really profound, but God already has our plan in mind. And as much as we can try to steer away that plan from His, as much as we want to try to modify that plan from Him, we can't, because then He'll just steer us back to what His plan was was originally. Um, we can't control what God has for us. Just kind of how it is, you know. Uh, but in that scenario, one thing you can control is your prayer life. Whether it's how often you pray, what you pray for, who you pray for, really, or even if you pray at all, you know. And I honestly, I would encourage each and every one of you guys to pray, because it's like prayer helps with it. Praying, what praying does is it tells us kind of what we need, you know, and it's like it brings out gratitude from us. So you can control, in that scenario, you can control how often you pray, what you pray for, who you pray for, and maybe your Bible reading, but you can't control what God does. Otherwise, the whole like the universe would be kind of whacked. If you can control God and what he does, the universe will be totally different. There's only one God, and he knows I mean, he has control over everything. So, but yeah, as far as like, you know, what you can and cannot control, I'm going to leave you guys with these three things. You can control your attitude, your mindset, and yourself. You can't control anything else. Well, you can. It's just those three things will once you have control of these three things, and then you just accept that things are that it, I have coffee in my stomach. I need to just anyway, not if you can control those three things, you just you just accept that things are the way that they are, and you keep your head high and you keep a positive mindset, you'll be fine. Anyway, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. This has been the Junior Mints podcast. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please drop a like, subscribe down below, and let me know in the comments what you think about things you can and cannot control. And let me know if I missed anything, because I was going without a script today, and I kind of was just rambling. So, yeah, thanks again for watching, guys, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.